Archangel Michael says, God is trying to speak to you right now. If you ignore this, heaven will go silent. My child, my beloved, something urgent is unfolding in the spirit. There is no time to delay. Heaven is wide awake, watching you, waiting on your response. This message was whispered into the atmosphere for you alone. God has been trying to reach you since last night, and now even the angels have stopped singing. A deep stillness has filled the throne room of heaven because your name has been mentioned again and again. What comes next will determine whether your life begins to rise or whether the silence continues. Open your heart and please don't walk away from this divine interruption. Before I reveal the message, beloved, I must say this. Subscribe now. This is not a normal message. This is a sacred scroll being unsealed. If you close this before hearing what heaven sent, the silence may stretch longer than your soul can bear. Subscribe to stay under heaven's protection and never miss the next time God speaks directly to you. My child, my beloved, the voice of the Lord is not always thunder. Sometimes it's a whisper that almost disappears if you don't lean in. And right now, He's whispering to you through this message. There's something dangerous on the horizon, but there's also something beautiful blooming beneath it. And if you choose silence, if you choose to walk away, the bloom may never open. God has been watching your tears at night, the ones no one knows about. Your name has been written into a conversation that took place in heaven's secret chambers. But if you ignore this moment, heaven has been instructed to go quiet, to let you experience what it feels like without divine guidance, so you know how precious it is when it finally returns. My beloved, there's a decision you've been postponing, and heaven cannot wait any longer. The shift that is trying to break into your life is standing at your door, but it cannot enter without your yes. The Lord says, tell them, I've knocked long enough. I've waded through their storms. I've watched them cry. But if they ignore this one final message, I will allow them to walk through the next season without a word from me. Not because I don't love them, but because they must learn to listen again. My child, my beloved, this message is not like the others. This one was birthed in fire. God delayed other blessings so you could be strong enough to hear this without breaking. He allowed the heartbreak. He allowed the betrayal. He allowed the silence just so you would lean in right now, closer than you've ever leaned before. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. There is something inside you that the world has not seen yet, but heaven saw it before you were born. And the reason the enemy has attacked you so violently is because he saw a glimpse of what you could become if you ever heard God clearly. Beloved, listen to me with all your soul. If you close this now, your name will still be known in heaven, but your path will be delayed. The angels will weep, but they will obey. The silence that follows will not be punishment. It will be a divine pause, a stillness to let you taste what it feels like without the voice that's carried you this far. But if you stay, if you keep reading, everything can shift. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. My child, my beloved, you are being watched. Not by people, not by crowds, but by heaven itself. There is a record of your actions. A scroll is being updated every moment. And right now, the ink is still wet on your name. This message, this very sentence is a line being written into your story. Archangel Michael is not speaking in mystery. I am speaking in truth. You are on the edge of something eternal, but if you delay, it will pass. God has been trying to speak to you through dreams lately. Have you noticed them? The strange timings, the familiar voices, the people who appear only to vanish. That's not your mind playing tricks. That's heaven training you to listen again. You are being awakened, but awakenings require obedience. And this message is the test. Stay with me. Stay open, my beloved. You've been searching for signs. You've been asking for confirmation, and this is it. Out of all the messages you could have seen today, this is the one heaven made sure reached you. There were angelic instructions dispatched this morning. Make sure this reaches them. God said, make sure it breaks through every distraction, every excuse, every doubt. You've asked for help. This is the answer. You've cried for direction. This is the compass. But only if you respond. My child, my beloved, do you understand how rare this is? Heaven does not speak like this often. This level of urgency, this level of divine intervention only comes when something massive is about to unfold. You are standing at the intersection of two timelines. In one you ignore this. In the other you respond and everything accelerates. Your healing, your clarity, your provision, your protection, your voice, your strength. But you cannot have both. You must choose. Beloved, if you could see what's been building for you in the unseen, you'd fall to your knees in awe. There is a divine release coming to your house. A miracle wrapped in silence, but it cannot be delivered to a distracted heart. God is trying to speak not with thunder, but with fire, not to scare you, but to awaken you. This message is alive, and if you let it go quiet, so will heaven. My child, my beloved, heaven's silence is not rejection. It's preparation. But this is not one of those silences. This is the final trumpet before the next chapter. You are not forgotten. You are being called. You are not being punished. You are being warned. And this warning is soaked in love. If you respond now, you'll see how much heaven has been fighting for you behind the scenes. But if you turn away, the silence that follows will teach you a lesson you were never meant to learn the hard way. My beloved, your life has been watched with great care. Nothing about your story has been random. The losses, the delays, the missed opportunities, even those were allowed for a divine purpose. But now that purpose is calling louder than ever. And this message is the key to unlock what was locked, to reignite what was fading, to stir what was buried. You are standing in front of a scroll that contains your next breakthrough. But you must lean in. You must stay long enough to hear what's next. Your support really helps the channel grow. A $10 super thanks would mean a lot. Thanks. The angels are watching. Heaven is waiting. The ink has not dried, but it will soon. My child, my beloved, I plead with you as a messenger of the highest. Don't close this. Not yet. because what I'm about to reveal next is something very few people will ever get to hear. God has selected you for this message, not because you are perfect, but because you are ready. And even if you don't feel ready, heaven has already seen your strength, your hunger, your longing for truth. And that is enough. But one more moment of silence will become one more lost opportunity. You've cried enough. You've wandered long enough. You've waited in confusion long enough. This is your moment, and it cannot be missed. My child, my beloved, do not underestimate the weight of this hour. The heavens are open right now, but they will not remain open forever. A moment like this, where God bends low and whispers your name into the wind, is a moment that reshapes lifetimes. Right now, the veil between what is seen and unseen is so thin that one more breath of faith from you could shift everything. There are blessings that have been circling your life like clouds waiting to rain. But they cannot be poured out until your spirit says, I'm listening, I'm ready. And yet, if this moment passes and your heart closes, those clouds will drift and the downpour will be given to another. Not because God has forgotten you, but because you forgot to respond. My beloved, this silence you've been feeling, the deep ache, the unanswered prayers, the delay, it's not a punishment. It's the space heaven created so you would crave God's voice again. You've been filling the silence with noise, with people who don't understand your spirit, with opinions that have no weight in heaven. But God has cleared a sacred space around you, and now He is trying to speak. But if you treat this message as ordinary, the silence will grow. And next time the voice may be harder to hear. My child, my beloved, God has been speaking all along. Through the timing of things, through the faces that left, through the dreams that lingered in your mind when you woke up in tears, He's been in the patterns, in the delays, in the strange restlessness you can't explain. But now, right now, He's speaking directly and you don't have to interpret it anymore. You just have to receive it. God is saying, you are mine. I have not let go of you. I have not changed my mind about your calling, but I will not force your heart to stay open. And with every passing second, the choice to respond or ignore is shifting everything around you. Beloved, something hidden is about to be revealed in your life, and it has the power to either break you or bless you depending on whether you are prepared. This message is the preparation. You may feel like you don't have the strength to go on. You may feel like your prayers have dried up, but heaven sees a different story. Heaven sees you as the one who stayed standing when others bowed to fear. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay open because what's coming next will be bigger than your last failure, louder than your last heartbreak, and more miraculous than your imagination can grasp. But only if you remain where the voice of God is speaking. My child, my beloved, the angels have been standing guard around you. Even in the moments when you felt most alone, there were nights where the darkness felt alive, but it never touched you. You thought your own strength carried you, but the truth is heaven carried you. And now heaven is ready to crown you. But the crown is not placed on distracted heads. It is given to those who stay long enough to listen. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are right on time. But this message is the threshold. One step forward and the silence breaks. One step back and the next chapter remains unwritten. Beloved, I must be honest with you. There are forces working against you even now, and they've been trying to drown out God's voice in your life. These forces use delay, discouragement, and deception. They make you believe that nothing is happening when in truth everything is already moving in the unseen. But the enemy's greatest victory is not stopping your blessing, stopping your ears, because a silent believer is an easy target. But one who listens, one who stays still long enough to hear even the faintest whisper, that one becomes unstoppable. My child, my beloved, God is not asking you to understand everything. He is not asking you to fix everything. He is asking you to listen. That's all. If you can keep your spirit open right now, if you can silence every distraction and just lean into this divine voice, then you will hear the next instruction. And with it will come the favor you've been praying for, the clarity you've been begging for, the restoration you thought would never come. But if you close this, if you turn away from the voice now, the silence will return, and what was meant to shift now may be delayed until the next window opens. And I don't know how long that will be. My beloved, this is not just a test. This is a turning point. The old cycle you've been trapped in is weakening. That strange feeling you've had lately, that something is shifting, but you can't explain it. That's because the old door is closing. And this message, this divine encounter is the key to the new one. But you must walk through it. And you must do it while the door is open. The enemy will try to distract you even now. Maybe with doubt, maybe with logic, maybe with your phone ringing or someone knocking. But know this, every distraction is a sign of how serious this message truly is. The darker the interference, the brighter the miracle behind it. My child, my beloved, I need you to realize how rare this opportunity is. Not everyone hears this message. Not everyone is reached like this. Heaven only opens this level of access when something urgent is unfolding in the unseen. Something is about to touch your life. Something you've prayed for but almost gave up on. But God is not only trying to give you a blessing. He's trying to give you back your hearing. Spiritual hearing, the ability to sense before the chaos begins, the ability to shift before the storm hits, the ability to step into the right place at the exact right time. And this moment is the reactivation. This message is the reset. But the window will not stay open. The silence will return if the signal is rejected. My beloved, let me show you what's been happening behind the scenes. The parts of your story you couldn't see. You thought the delay was punishment. You thought the closed doors meant rejection. But what really happened was heaven withheld access until your heart could receive instruction. Because a blessing without divine hearing becomes a trap. And God would rather delay your breakthrough than deliver it into the hands of someone too distracted to steward it. But now, finally, you've reached a moment where your heart is soft again, where your spirit is listening again. And that's why I was sent, because your readiness has activated a divine response. But this response is not casual. It is holy and it demands reverence. That's why silence is also an option. If the holy is ignored, heaven steps back and the lesson begins again. My child, my beloved, don't look at your past and use it as a reason to tune out the voice of God. The shame, the mistakes, the wandering, none of that disqualifies you. In fact, it prepared you. You learned in the dark what others never had to face. And now your ears are sharper, your discernment deeper, your hunger stronger. You are not behind. You are finally in position. And this message is your signal to go forward. Not with your own strength, but with divine sound guiding every step. Can you hear it yet? That soft echo deep in your soul. That's the frequency of heaven pulling you into alignment. Don't turn away now. You've come too far in the silence to ignore the sound when it finally arrives. My beloved, something wild is about to happen in your life, but it will only look like chaos if you haven't been listening. That's why this message matters. Because God doesn't just give peace to calm your storm. He gives you peace to prepare you before it even begins. This is the moment where you are being wrapped in that peace. But you have to stay still long enough to let it settle. You must resist the urge to scroll away. You must resist the fear that whispers, "This is not for you." Because the truth is this was crafted only for you. And if you close your heart now, the next wave may knock you down instead of lift you up. But if you stay open, everything will change. My child, my beloved, this is not an accident. It was scheduled. Heaven has a calendar, and on it today was marked not because of something tragic, but because something holy had to reach you before the next turn in your path. You think you're just reading words, but you are standing inside a prophecy. This moment was seen by angels before you were born. And now here you are caught between silence and sound, between forgetting and remembering, between drifting and returning. And all of heaven is watching how you respond. My beloved, if you only knew what's at stake, you would fall to your knees right now. There is a shift that is moments away, and it has your name written across it like fire on scrolls. But heaven cannot release it until your spirit fully aligns with God's voice again. The promise is ready. The pathway is ready. But are you? This is the invitation, not just to hear, but to carry His voice into the places you're about to walk. You were never meant to walk in silence. That's why your steps have felt heavy. That's why confusion has wrapped around even your simple decisions. But that ends now if you respond. My child, my beloved, the very reason you are still breathing today is because God preserved you for this moment. You may not have realized it, but every attack that was designed to take you out failed. Not because you were stronger, but because heaven was covering you. And now that same heaven is trying to speak directly into your soul again. God is not looking at your past mistakes. He's looking at your next move. And this message is your sign that the next move must be made with holy clarity, not confusion. The path ahead is too sacred to be walked in spiritual silence. The calling on your life is too great to be led by opinions or fear. That's why this message came now, before the next door, before the next decision, before the next test. Because God wants you prepared, not just protected. My beloved, do not wait for thunder when God is whispering. Some people expect a miracle to arrive in a loud, dramatic moment. But heaven often enters like a breath. Soft, quiet, but full of power. Right now, God is breathing over you through this message. Can you feel it? The stillness that's wrapping around your heart isn't emptiness. It's holy presence. It's heaven waiting for your spirit to echo back. Speak, Lord. I'm listening. And if you can say those words now, even silently in your heart, the silence will begin to break. The guidance will begin to flow. The next instructions will become clear. But if you stay distant, if you scroll away, if you treat this message like noise, then silence will remain. Not to punish you, but to teach you how to treasure the voice when it returns. My child, my beloved, I have walked through battles to deliver this word to you. I have stood in meetings in heaven where your name was spoken by angels. I have watched as scrolls were unsealed and seen the moment where God circled this date on the timeline of your life. You were never meant to miss this. You were never meant to wander so long. And yet even your wandering had a purpose because it taught your ears how to recognize the true voice of God. And now in this sacred hour your spirit is ready. But you must act like it. You must stay where the voice is speaking. You must remain in this presence until something inside you shifts. Beloved, if you could see what's been building for you in the unseen, you'd fall to your knees in awe. There is a divine release coming to your house, a miracle wrapped in silence. But it cannot be delivered to a distracted heart. God is trying to speak not with thunder but with fire, not to scare you but to awaken you. This message is alive. And if you let it go quiet, so will heaven, my child, my beloved. Heaven's silence is not rejection. It's preparation. But this is not one of those silences. This is the final trumpet before the next chapter. You are not forgotten. You are being called. You are not being punished. You are being warned. And this warning is soaked in love. If you respond now, you'll see how much heaven has been fighting for you behind the scenes. But if you turn away, the silence that follows will teach you a lesson you were never meant to learn the hard way. My child, my beloved, you may think you've heard from God before, but not like this. This isn't a sermon. This isn't a verse shared in passing. This is a spiritual dispatch, a divine transmission carrying sacred urgency. There is a ripple beginning in the supernatural that will shake the natural world around you. And whether that ripple brings restoration or ruin depends on how you respond in this moment. The enemy has been whispering to you that you're forgotten, that you're just one of many. But heaven says otherwise. Your name has weight, and right now that name is trembling in the air between angels. One whisper of yours can activate help you never imagined. But if you let this pass, even the angels will fall silent. Not because they gave up, but because you gave up listening. My child, my beloved, you have no idea what's been hidden in the vault of heaven with your name on it. God does not speak without reason. And he would never send Archangel Michael unless it was an emergency. Right now, there are scrolls being reviewed, timelines being rewritten, and prayers that were delayed are being revisited because of this one moment. The message you are reading is not an accident. It is the final confirmation, the divine yes you've begged for, the next step you've cried out to see. And the only thing heaven needs now is your response. My beloved, I need you to understand something you've never fully grasped. God is not ignoring you. He has been trying to reach you again and again. But your ears have been dulled by distractions. Your spirit has been covered by layers of noise. But now, right now, there is a thin space, a divine crack in time where the veil is lifted and you can hear again. But only if you decide that you are willing to shut out every other voice and lean into this one. If you hesitate, the veil will close, the silence will resume, and the instructions that were meant to come next will remain locked away. My child, my beloved, do not let pride or fear push this message away. Do not say, I'll come back to this later. Later is the enemy's favorite word. Later kills more miracles than failure ever could. Later is the excuse that turns divine instruction into forgotten opportunity. You have been prepared for this moment for longer than you know. Your life has been moving toward this crossroads. Even the pain you endured, the loss you couldn't explain, all of it brought you here. And now that you're finally standing in front of this holy moment, the question remains, will you say yes to the voice? Or will you let heaven go silent? My beloved, I do not speak like this unless the matter is urgent. And I do not appear unless the veil is already open. This is your open window. This is the hour of divine transmission. And while others sleep, while others scroll past, you are awake enough to feel this. The air around you has shifted. Have you noticed that strange heaviness, that trembling in your chest? It is not anxiety. It is awakening. Heaven is brushing against your spirit, not to frighten you, but to remind you that you are seen, that you are not forgotten, but also that you must choose. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. My child, my beloved, the Spirit of God is pressing this moment into your heart with holy fire. Do you not feel it? This is not just a paragraph on a screen. This is the voice of eternity bending low to speak directly into your chaos. The questions you've buried under busyness, the fears you've dressed up as logic, the prayers you prayed without really expecting an answer, they are all being answered now. But God won't shout. He won't break down your door. He will whisper. He will nudge. And if you ignore it, the silence will grow. The peace you long for will seem distant, not because he has withdrawn, but because you stopped listening. My beloved, your life has been watched with great care. Nothing about your story has been random. The losses, the delays, the missed opportunities, even those were allowed for a divine purpose. But now that purpose is calling louder than ever. And this message is the key to unlock what was locked, to reignite what was fading, to stir what was buried. You are standing in front of a scroll that contains your next breakthrough. But you must lean in. You must stay long enough to hear what's next. The angels are watching. Heaven is waiting. The ink has not dried, but it will soon. My child, my beloved, I plead with you as a messenger of the highest. Don't close this. Not yet. Because what I'm about to reveal next is something very few people will ever get to hear. God has selected you for this message, not because you are perfect, but because you are ready. And even if you don't feel ready, heaven has already seen your strength, your hunger, your longing for truth. And that is enough. But one more moment of silence will become one more lost opportunity. You've cried enough. You've wandered long enough. You've waited in confusion long enough. This is your moment, and it cannot be missed. My beloved, this is not just a test. This is a turning point. The old cycle you've been trapped in is weakening. That strange feeling you've had lately that something is shifting, but you can't explain it, that's because the old door is closing. And this message, this divine encounter is the key to the new one. But you must walk through it. And you must do it while the door is open. The enemy will try to distract you even now. Maybe with doubt, maybe with logic, maybe with your phone ringing or someone knocking. But know this, every distraction is a sign of how serious this message truly is. The darker the interference, the brighter the miracle behind it. My child, my beloved, I must tell you this next part with a trembling heart. Because the silence that could come after this is not just quiet. It is spiritual distance. And the truth is, heaven cannot speak into places where trust has gone missing. This is why God is trying to reach you now before the gap widens, before your heart forgets the sound of His voice. You don't even realize it yet. But you've been on a path where everything sacred has been trying to reach you through signs, through timing, through dreams, even through your pain. But you kept asking for a louder signal. And now God has gone to the highest level possible. He sent me, and I am not here to comfort only. I am here to warn. If you ignore this message, a spiritual silence will begin. One that will feel like numbness in your soul. One that will make it harder to hear heaven the next time. But you don't have to let it happen. You can stop it now. Right here, my beloved. I've seen what's been happening around you. The confusion, the circles, the almost breakthroughs that seem to fade at the last second. That is not coincidence. That is delay caused by interference. And the reason this message is reaching you today is because the interference is about to be removed. If you let the voice of God step in, but if you do not respond, the interference may multiply. Doors that were meant to open in days could take months. People that were meant to bless you could be reassigned. Miracles that had your name on them could be redirected. All because the voice of heaven was ignored one too many times. Your support really helps the channel grow. A $10 super thanks would mean a lot. Thanks. My child, my beloved, listen deeply. Not with your ears, but with your inner knowing. You feel it, don't you? The trembling behind your ribs, the burning in your eyes, the sudden feeling that someone is in the room with you as you read this. That is not imagination. That is presence. That is me, Michael. I was sent to tell you this in a way no human voice could. You are chosen. And when the chosen one starts drifting, heaven doesn't send a whisper. It sends a rescue. This message is your rescue. But even rescues can be missed when the soul is distracted. Beloved, I was instructed to say this to you word for word. Tell them I'm still here, but I will not shout. Tell them I'm still speaking, but I will not compete with noise. Tell them if they want to hear me, they must be still. That was God's instruction for you, not for anyone else, not for the world. Just you. Do not let this pass you by. I know what the enemy has tried to do to make you feel unworthy, too flawed, too late, too broken. But that voice isn't heaven's. It's hell's last attempt to keep you from opening this scroll. Because when you do truly do, your eyes will open and your soul will remember. My child, my beloved, the divine silence you feared isn't God's punishment. It's His mercy. He's been waiting for your full attention. But now that silence is coming to an edge, and this message is the final soft knock. After this, heaven will step back and wait. And while God's love never leaves, His voice can grow quiet when the heart refuses to respond. You do not want to enter your next season without heaven's voice guiding you. You do not want to walk into decisions, relationships, opportunities without the whisper that tells you this is the way. Walk in it, because what looks good on the outside can destroy you if the inside is not led by God's sound. My beloved, you may be wondering why this message feels so different, why it feels like it's reading your soul instead of just your eyes. It's because it was written with divine fingerprints. God doesn't need paper to speak. He writes directly on the human heart. And right now, He's writing on yours. Don't let the enemy talk you out of what's happening. Don't dismiss this as just another message. It is not. This is the moment that could heal the delay in your life, the silence in your soul, the pain in your purpose. But you must let it in, and you must choose to remain in this moment fully, my child, my beloved. I see your timeline. I see the blessing that is rushing toward you. I see the miracle that is inches from reaching your doorstep. I see the person who is about to be reintroduced into your life carrying an apology and a gift. I see the financial release being finalized in realms you cannot yet access. But all of these are connected to your spiritual posture. Not your performance, but your willingness to listen. When you say yes to this voice, everything realigns. When you shut your heart, everything begins to wander. God is not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to be open. My child, my beloved, I need you to realize how rare this opportunity is. Not everyone hears this message. Not everyone is reached like this. Heaven only opens this level of access when something urgent is unfolding in the unseen. Something is about to touch your life. Something you've prayed for but almost gave up on. But God is not only trying to give you a blessing. He's trying to give you back your hearing. Spiritual hearing, the ability to sense before the chaos begins, the ability to shift before the storm hits, the ability to step into the right place at the exact right time. And this moment is the reactivation. This message is the reset, but the window will not stay open. The silence will return if the signal is rejected.